We're back to the Neil Haley Show in the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program celebrity Burt-Ward, the original Robin. Burt, thanks for calling. And I think what has happened, losing a colleague and a great friend of yours, it's kind of bittersweet what's happening with the new show coming out, right? For sure, with
yes.
Adam's passing.
Yes, we have a brand new movie out from Warner Brothers called Batman versus Two-Face. This was the last project that Adam West worked on. He provided the voice of Batman. I provide the voice of Robin, and the character Two-Face is voiced by none other than William Shatner. So here you have the two most iconic television shows in history, Batman and Star Trek, with the actors working together.
Wow. And that's going to be an interesting cast working with to get back and film this, right? Just to get you guys all back together and working with the cast. That must have been a fun experience, wasn't it?
Well, yes, and now it's come out today on Blu-ray and DVD. And last weekend I was in New York City at the New York Comic Con where we had a world premiere of the movie, and people were standing ovation. They just loved it. It was fantastic.
And it's amazing to watch as many fans as you guys have from the original show, right? It's humbling, isn't it?
It is. I mean, Batman has it came out in 1966. It's been in prime time for 3 years and in reruns ever since then. Here today in the U.S., it's on every single week on MeTV, and we have generations of kids have grown up watching Batman.
Exactly. And now they're telling their kids to watch it, right? So it just continues to be a process that everyone will continue to watch that show forever, and that's just a great...
It's a lot of fun. It's healthy. It's family entertainment. And this new movie is really cool. I mean, it has got a combination of the great stuff that we did back in the time we originally made Batman, combined with some of the stuff in the new movie theaters that have come out of Batman. And the two together, combining them, it makes it a really spectacular movie. It's a great film from Warner Brothers.
Oh, absolutely. And you're getting the great feedback. And what would you say, again, one of your fondest memories working with Adam? Can you tell us?
Can I tell you something? I met him just before our screen test in 1965, and in 5 minutes of talking to this man, the two of us were laughing and never stopped laughing.
Really?
What a wonderful, loving, incredible, hilarious man with the most amazing sense of humor you could ever imagine. And people ask me all the time, what was Adam like? And I said, what you saw on the screen is exactly what he was off the screen. Bigger than life. I mean, just an amazing, fun, wild, crazy guy. And he was like the Batman. I mean, you've got great actors that have portrayed him in movies, but there's only one bright knight, and that is Adam West.
And how do you like going and connecting? Yeah, no, sorry, Burt.
Well, I was just going to say, and one of the things that Adam would do, just to give you an idea, is that when we make these appearances and we come out on stage, we sign autographs, answer questions, but then they have these panels where we speak to like several thousand people at a time. And I'm introduced first. I come out and people clap and I say hello. Then Adam comes out. And when he comes out, he stands there for a moment and will say something like, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to stand here a few extra moments and allow you to gaze at my incredible physical development." And, people start laughing because he's so funny. And then he says, "Would you like to know how at 88 years of age I stay in such great shape?" And they say, yes. He says, "Every morning I have a bowl of Burt-Ward's Gentle Giant's dog food." And people start crying. They're laughing so hard, which leads me into kind of an ironic twist because, as you know or probably know, that my wife and I for the last 23 years have rescued more than 15,500 dogs. It's our charity. It's called Gentle Giants. We're the largest giant breed dog rescue in the world. We're a charity, 501c3. We take no salary whatsoever. It's all about the animals. And in the course of doing this, we have found a way to double and triple the lifespan of dogs. We have dogs living as long as 27 years. And when Adam would make this joke on in front of people, I got to tell you something. My heart kind of gets a little pain in it, because here, with creating this wonderful dog food that is double the lifespan of dogs, I would give anything if I could have doubled the lifespan of my dear friend.
Yes. Oh, well, he just seemed so giving, as he's been telling us, and your work that you're doing for dogs, saving dogs' lives, is just amazing. We all know how you rescue so many animals. You've come on the show before, rescue so many dogs at your home, and what you're doing. But where's the best place we can find info? I know for a fact you said now it's available. Batman versus Two-Face is now available on Blu-ray. But what about information on Gentle Giants dog food and stuff? Where can we go?
Yeah, our Gentle Giants dog food now is going into all the Walmarts across the country. It'll be in by February, and also we're in all the Stop and Shop stores in New England. And and for people they can have a chance for their dog to live as long as our dogs, which are living up to 27 years. And by the way, our dogs are so healthy, the only time they go to a veterinarian is every 3 years for a $10 rabies update. And, with the right kind of food and nutrition and love, everybody's dogs can live as long as our dogs are living, up to 27 years.
All right, so the best place we can find info is go where?
Well, it'll be in every Walmart, and it's available online at walmart.com, chewy.com, petsmart.com, and then, like I said, it'll be in all the Walmarts in February of 2018, just a few months away, and we're also at the end of this month in all the Stop and Shop stores. I don't know if you have them in your area, but they're like 770 grocery stores on the whole New England coast. So, and it's just our charity, and we're thrilled to do it. And people could, by the way, if they want to get information on how to properly feed and care for their dog, they can write to us on our Facebook page, Gentle Giants Dog Food and Products, and we get thousands of emails a week, and my wife and I answer every single one of them. We help people for free. We take no money from this. In fact, we tell people that our dog food, you get twice the life for half the price. And it's all about charity, and I want everybody's dog to live as long as ours. In fact, I just want to mention one thing. My daughter is now 26 years of age. We got her at an American Eskimo, which is about a small breed dog, and when she was a year and a half. She's had that same dog for more than 20 years. You can't do that with regular dog food, but you can do it with Gentle Giants dog food.
All right, so everyone needs to go to gentlegiantsrescue.com for more information on Burt-Ward. Find the Facebook page, Twitter, all those things. Burt, thanks for calling, and best of luck, man.
Thank you, citizens. To the Batmobile.
All right, to the Batmobile. Take care, Burt. Thanks. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment, and, I guess it's time to think about holiday cooking. It's time to think about maybe eating a little bit more than we want to at times. I'm excited to welcome the program celebrity chef Rocco-Dispirito. Rocco, thanks
hey guys,
for calling.
What's going on,
How
man?
are you? I'm doing fantastic.
I'm good. You know what?
Go, Rocco.
Go for it, bro.
So, you doing good?
I'm doing really great. Now that I'm talking to you, doing even better. And I was just going to say, the holidays are a great time to just say no. You know you're going to go to hell in a handbasket no matter what you do. So you might as well start with a little resistance. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And your new book is going to do that, right? Rocco's Healthy and Delicious. So, you got to be excited about the book coming out, and tell us a little bit about it.
I'm super excited. It's been in the works for 2.5 years. It's a follow-up to my negative calorie diet, which I think we spoke about when it came out. And that book did really well, pointed out lots of healthy foods that you can eat, unlimited amounts of, and that was sort of unheard of science at the time. And this book is not a diet book, so I want to emphasize that. I'm not asking you to go on a plan, do a 21-day detox, drink that silly maple syrup and cayenne pepper and lemon juice that makes you poop all day long. None of that nonsense. I don't want you to read about a diet. I want you to just live a healthier lifestyle. So it's 248 recipes, incredibly easy. They're mostly plant-based, and each comes with a full-page photo, so you really get to see how it should look. I've heard from my readers a lot about my recipes, some good, some bad, in the past 12 years. And most of them say they just need more photos, more photos, more photos. They really need a visual representation. So if you're into food porn and you love looking through cookbooks because of the photos, you're going to flip out when you see this one. It's got almost 600 photos in it.
Wow. And what's interesting, Rocco, when you talk about, Chef, you talk about the specifics of they want to see that photo. They want to see it because everyone is now, because of how big this industry is, the cooking industry, on television all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So visual now,
channels,
too.
They want to see it visually so that they have the time, because sometimes on a cooking show, they can't keep up, but they can keep up themselves in a cookbook because they can go at their own pace.
Exactly.
And then the more instruction, the better, right?
Absolutely. I'm finding that people are trying to cook at home more. They want to cook at home more. They're afraid of the work it's going to take. But nevertheless, cooking kit sales are up and huge. People are going to farmers markets. The pre-made foods at like Trader Joe's, where you finish it at home, are selling like crazy. People are really looking forward to learning how to cook and cooking at home for their family. Dudes find it like a great way to go on a date. Girls love it. But the problem is that they're watching food TV, and what we're presenting on food TV right now is a lot of competition shows, a lot of food craziness, stuff you'll never do at home and should never do at home, trust me, because that food is so indulgent, it'll give you a heart attack in one season. So what they need is just some simple guidance, and with Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, food has become so hyper visual that if there's not a great photo, they're not going to even try the recipe. I've published books with a photo for every recipe and some without, and the ones that have a photo for every recipe are the ones that do much better, and the ones that don't, people don't even know about those recipes. They just skip right over them. It just looks like
Chef,
copy of them,
Yeah, Chef, why is it with the photo? Explain to me the photo. Is that the complete, final, finished product, or photos throughout that process?
So I do both, actually. I love to do step-by-steps. The problem is, getting the pages from the publisher. If I could, I would do a step-by-step for every photo, every recipe. I was lucky to get 400 pages for this, which is considered a really big book these days. Paper costs money, printing costs money, so we're always fighting that. I provide the photos, so it's not like they have to take the pictures. I do all the food styling. I plate every plate myself. I cook every dish myself.
Wow.
And I'm not a big traditional food stylist in the sense that I use, Elmer's glue to make a white sauce look perfect. I shoot the dish as it came out of the pan so that it looks real. It looks imperfect, and that's how it's going to come out at your house. And I want you to feel empowered. I want you to look at that dish and say, I can do that. And then look at the recipe list and say, oh, there's only like 5-6 ingredients. I should try that. I'm just getting you, my goal is to get you to just try or even think about it. And if you add 1 or 2 of these recipes a week to your life, you'll be improving the quality of your health tremendously. You won't even know you're eating healthy food because I'm 12 years into this healthy and delicious thing, and I've done a pretty good job now of figuring out how to make food taste really good, but get rid of the crappy carbs and all the sugar and the gluten and all the dairy that's causing so many health problems. I don't know about you, but all I hear about are people getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and we've got to do something about it. And part of it is cooking at home. Big part of it.
Absolutely. Oh, you hit the nail on the head. the one thing I want to talk about, plant-based. Explain that plant-based, because, people that don't want to be vegetarians, they kind of hear that word plant-based. They get a little nervous.
I'm not asking you to be a vegetarian. I'm not asking you to be a vegan. I also want to remind you that most Americans get most of their calories from carbs. So we are already plant-based. We're eating Cheetos, Doritos, potato chips, Fritos. Those are all plant-based foods. They're just not the right plant-based foods, unfortunately. They're highly processed. They've got tons of pesticide residue. They're made from GMO corn. So we're already living a plant-based lifestyle. We just need to convert that from unhealthy plants to healthy plants. And, the USDA is getting involved. They're finally seeing the light. They're starting to subsidize not only corn and soybean production, but they're subsidizing organic farming now, which is great. And we need to move to whole plant, local fresh foods. If you did that, you would change your life forever. If you just stop eating food that came out of a package or a bag or a frozen box 24/7 or a restaurant 24/7 and made a little fresh, local, plant-based food, you'd be doing wonders. I don't know about your listeners, but if I talk to any crowd I address, I ask, how many people have a mother, a father, a parent, an uncle, a sister or brother with a serious life-threatening health issue? And every time, half the room raises their hands. And that's all lifestyle related. You can cook your way out of that problem, and it's pretty easy. I find cooking easier and more convenient than ordering out. I don't know about you guys, but when you order out, you got to give your credit card over the phone, and half the time they get the number wrong, and the rest of them, when the food comes, it's wrong, and it's an hour later, and then there's all this disposable crap you got to clean up. I don't find it so convenient anymore.
All right. Where's the best place we can purchase your book and learn more about you, Chef? Where can we go to get that book?
A really good way to get my book and get it signed, which is cool, is go to roccobook.com. You can pre-order it. I'll sign it live on Tuesday, the 17th, on Facebook Live. On my Facebook Live page, you'll be able to see me sign your book live. But otherwise, wherever books are sold, Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, all the independent bookstores have got it. There's about 120,000 books out there right now, so just waiting for you guys to pick it up.
All right, Rocco, thanks for calling. Best of luck, man, and thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Take care. Thanks. Okay, see you later. Okay,
bye.
Bye. Yeah, bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program celebrity Ben Schwartz, author of Things You Should Know About Dating, You Blanking Idiot. Ben, thanks for calling. How are you?
Of course, man. Everything is pretty good. How are you?
Awesome. Okay, so why a dating book? Okay, I know it's just a process. Millennials don't understand dating at all. That's the first thing I'll say. And I think millennials in a lot of ways don't understand a lot of things, as I'm 44 myself and employ many millennials. What was the reasoning for writing it?
Yeah, so me and Laura Moses is a great writer as well. Has thought, there's so many chivalrous things that have kind of been thrown away. The idea of not walking a girl to her car, or paying for dinner, or the idea of just talking like a human being in front of somebody as opposed to texting. So we wanted to make this book that kind of listed 100 tips that could take you through the what dating is today, and to make you happy and all those things, to guide you through it in a normal human way, as everybody gets addicted to these apps and forgets to learn how to talk to someone.
Yeah, and what's up with texting? What's up with texting where I text back somebody in 2 minutes, and if I text someone, I'm expecting if they're on the phone, the response will come right back. What is happening is this happens to my people who work with me all the time. Why is it that it might take forever for them to get back to you? And that's got to be annoying in dating for sure.
We have that as one of the things. You should text back an appropriate amount of time. And also a big thing that happens now is a term called ghosting, which people will literally just stop texting or calling, and that's how they break up with you. So it's just us writing this book talking about text back in a normal amount of time. Why are you waiting so long? I know your phone's on you at all times. Text back, or if you're busy or something, tell me. And also, if you want to break up with someone, first of all, if it's been a while, break up with someone in person. Let them do that in person, and don't text and stuff like that. And absolutely don't stop texting for no reason.
Yeah, and the other thing, let's talk about how much time is now, the bar scene's not anymore, right, Ben? Meaning, if you're going to hook up or meet somebody, it's a lot of times going to come on the internet, isn't it? It's going to come on the phone. It's going to come on where you might meet them for a second, but the real first getting to know you period is basically texting. It's basically sending messages, right?
Yes, and I think also what that does, which kind of is a flaw, is that it makes it almost like Laura and I use the term disposable love, that people are so quick to swipe right and left that when they actually go on a date and the date doesn't go exactly as they planned, they'll throw that person out and go right back to the drawing board instead of taking the time to try with someone or learn, you know what I mean, stuff like that. So I think the apps have big positives because, you know, you can reach to 100 billion people, but negatives also because it feels like it's never ending. There always feels like there's someone else that could be on the other end that could possibly be the person.
How frustrating when you were doing the research of finding out how many people are frustrated with dating in this day and age compared to, for myself, I'm 44 and I was
crazy.
dating.
Yeah, it's crazy. When we were thinking of tips, we would ask our friends, and everybody had like a story about like, well, this person never did this or this, and it's guys and girls being like, this is flawed. Listen, dating has always been kind of crazy, but I think with the addition of opening up your dating world to everybody in the world, because it's no longer just, you know, the bar you're next to or the town that you grew up in, I think it comes with a certain amount of flaws when you open up to an unlimited amount of options.
And if they're real, too, I'm sure there's jokes about real ones, too, in this book, right? Or is this really the person I'm talking to on the other line or different things like that?
Oh, to be catfished, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we don't cover that, but that is always something that Laura and I talk about. How you could just hide so much or create a fake profile so easily. You don't know what version. The other thing is when people put profile pics up there, maybe from 25 years ago. So when you meet them in real life, you're like, oh boy. So that's a big thing too.
Now let's talk about you and your co-author, your dating lives. Is that one of the reasons to motivate you as well for this book?
Our personal dating lives?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, her and I never dated, but I think it was like whenever we would come back from dates, it would be like, I feel like I did something wrong, or I feel like this happened, or the other person, blah, blah, blah. And it was truly the genesis of the whole thing was if I was dating someone or if she was dating someone, the idea that she's like that person for me that we would always have like a brunch afterwards and talk about like what's going on in your relationship life and stuff like that. And that's when we started to realize more and more that like, oh my goodness, all these things are happening to both of us. We should talk about it and make it a thing. And that's how the whole book kind of started.
And what's your hope from this book? What do you want? What do you hope that people are going to finally get back to the days of just talking on the phone or having coffee together or a beer and not just be not together yet together kind of thing where people are texting each other and they're on.
My hope is that when people read this book, they'll laugh because it's a comedy book first and foremost. You know what I mean? There's jokes, there's dialogue between a guy and a girl talking about each tip. There's a stick figure next to it. Like it's just taking all these weird situations and making comedic. But also, how fun would it be if, like, for some reason, all of a sudden, someone starts walking someone to their car, or for some reason, someone is kinder to waiters on a date, or a lot, you know, like you learn these little things that even though they're jokes, there's kernels of truth in all of them. So if you're like, oh, you know what, I should do that more. I should introduce her to my friend or introduce him to my friend and stuff like that. So it would be so fun if you got to laugh, but at the same time kind of learn something that would help your relationship or your dating life.
Yeah, because you're going to get millennials to pick up a book. It's going to have to be to laugh anyways. You know that.
I think that's it. And then me and Laura, if we're writing something that's going to be funny. And we're going to try to make it funny anyway. So for us, it was like we can try to turn this on its head and make it funny. So the idea that we can do both is really fun.
So what is, give us an update, what's new with you regarding acting and stuff. Any other new projects going on with you?
Sure, man. So I did a movie called Outside In with Jay Duplass and Edie Falco. That just came out in Toronto. I'm doing a movie right now with Kevin Hart, and then I'm doing a movie with Billy Crystal next month. So I'm kind of acting for in those projects right now. And then on Netflix, there's a movie called Happy Anniversary I did. That'll be coming out in the next couple months. And slowly all these movies that I did the past couple months are coming out, which is great.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome, the fact that you can have these opportunities and stuff where, because of all these different platforms that you could constantly be promoting and having projects, it's a great time to be in this business, isn't it?
It's really cool because you have more control than ever. The idea of creation, like I started by making short films on the internet and freelancing jokes for places. So the idea that if you're an actor, I still say try to create, you know what I mean? Or if you're a writer, make sure you write. Don't just sit on it and keep rewriting something. Go write content, because you're right. If you have a phone, you could video and you could edit everything. You could record and edit everything on your phone. So there's almost no excuse for you to get out there and try to just create something. If you're passionate about it and you really want to do it.
Okay, we can pick up your book, Ben. Best place we can pick up your book is in all finer bookstores for sure, and all that stuff. And where's best place?
All those, yeah. It comes out tomorrow, and then you can get it on Amazon and all that stuff today, and it'll arrive tomorrow morning if you get it in time. And it all starts tomorrow. It should be in Barnes & Noble on one of those beautiful, new arrival racks and all those fun things. So look, it literally has a heart over the curse word. It's called Things You Should Already Know About Dating, You Effing Idiot. And I'm psyched. I'm really excited because, you write a book and then it finally comes out. You hope that people will dig it. But Laura and I are very, very excited.
Well, it sounds great. It sounds like you know what's going on, Ben. So, and it's going to be really funny. So thanks for calling. Best of luck with all your projects. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one, man.
You too. Take care. Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye. You're listening to Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor, NeilHaley.com, and I'm excited to welcome to the program Ed-Asner and Ed-Weinberger. How are you guys doing? And you're really excited about the book, The Grouchy Historian. How are you guys?
Well, we're hoping to sell enough books to afford hearing aids so we can hear you better.
I'll try to speak up as loud as possible for sure, Ed and Ed. The first question I wanted to bring out to Ed Asner is to tell how great Aughtfest was. I covered Aughtfest in L.A., and what your son is doing with the Autism Film Festival was awesome, and I wanted to just tell you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, for sure. All right, so let's kind of go delve into it for sure. Ed Asner, tell me specifically about why you wrote The Grouchy Historian.
Because, well, we're both by nature grouchy, and we thought it was overtime to keep putting up with the right wing's assertions about their authorship and knowledge of the Constitution. We wanted to show the world, and particularly United States citizens, that it's a living, breathing document that can be interpreted in many different ways, but that it is not a dead issue. It is not something to be fantasized with to the ashes of the original founders, or to be interpreted as if we knew what they thought. It's to be interpreted as a passel of words that we live by and can hope to lead better lives by.
Ed Weinberger, tell me specifically your thought process of this book. Again, we see, as it says at the point, it says, an old-time lefty defends our Constitution against right-wing hypocrites and nut jobs. Are you specifically seeing, Mr. Weinberger, that it just basically people are just picking and choosing out of the Constitution instead of really understanding it?
Well, I think that's one of the assertions. And let's just say that, first of all, while it's history, we think and hope it's entertaining history. It's a considerable amount of humor went into the book. And we take on the target today, which I think is important, the Ann Coulters, the Mark Levins. We examine the court rulings of Antonin Scalia. We just try to prove with the words of the fathers themselves how wrong those people are. They got it wrong about gay rights, women's reproductive rights, the corporate tax rate, and they got it wrong about the Constitution as well. So that's basically our attack, but it's not a diatribe against Trump. It's a look at the politics of today, but we think with some humor and certainly some historical truth. So there you go.
Interesting. And Mr. Asner, how did we keep you kept the book a little bit of comedy involved and a little lighthearted in discovering these things? I know it's a frustration for you what you're seeing going on with people and how they're interpreting the Constitution, but tell me specifically enough your mindset to make it funny as well, the book.
Okay, all right. Well, I think we funny may not be the exact word, but there is, for example, we talk about the right-wing talking points, and then we answer them, and that's that's the kind of thing that we talk about. I'm looking now to get. So, for example, when the right wing says the way to interpret the Constitution is to determine what the framers were thinking when they wrote it, and our answers is you can't even figure out how the framers took a pea and danced without a fly. How do you figure you're going to figure out what they were thinking? Mr. Asner says he had teenagers. I never knew what they were thinking, and I lived in the same house with them. And hell, I don't even know what I'm thinking half the time myself. So that's one example of attempt. I don't know how that comes across reading it the way as badly as I'm doing, but we try to answer their position with, at least in some cases, with what you would call a funny response. Does that help?
Is what dictates the right wing and thinking that they knew what the framers and founders were thinking. They don't know a damn thing. And it is our job through this book to encourage the independent thinking of looking at the Constitution as if it were just written and not written by the elders.
They believe that the framers were a diverse group, and we say that the framers were as diverse a group as the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. So there's some examples of what we're talking about.
So, Mr. Weinberger, when you talk about the attacks from the right, you mentioned, Ann Coulter and other people like that. What response have you gotten from them since about the book? Have they come on social media going and blasting you guys?
The book came out October 10th, and we haven't heard from anybody as yet. And we certainly welcome a response, but I think we should point out that you're one of the first radio stations we're talking to. We've just begun promoting the book, and it's only been out there about 2 days, so we'll wait and see.
And Mr. Weinberger, where can we purchase the book and learn more about you? Where can we go?
You get it online at Amazon. It's in Barnes & Noble. It should be in bookstores everywhere. You certainly can get it on Amazon, and if you don't have a bookstore in your neighborhood, and unfortunately most people do not have bookstores in their neighborhoods anymore. It's a sad part of our what's happening in our country.
We've also got an audio version out.
Okay, an audio version. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. Well, thanks, Mr. Asner, and thank you, Mr. Weinberger. Everyone needs to pick up the book, The Grouchy Historian, an old-time lefty defends our Constitution against right-wing hypocrites and nutjobs. Thanks for calling, guys, and thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for taking the time for having us. Thank you.
Take care. All right, thanks again. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You could check me out on Twitter at TuttleTutor and NeilHaley.com. And I am so excited about my guests today. And they have been doing the radio thing for a while. But before that, unbelievable Hollywood stories for sure. So I'm excited to welcome the program couple, Larry and Nancy Manetti. Guys, thanks for calling. And we know Larry from Magnum PI. We know Nancy from Magnum PI.
Hello.
And all that stuff. Guys, thanks for calling and being on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, Neil, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, Larry, let's go to the story of, I think the best story is, you had your part on Magnum PI, but did you meet Nancy there? Is that where you guys met?
No, we met way before that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Actually, we met at the actor Robert Conrad's house.
Really? Wow. Interesting. And Nancy, go ahead, Nancy.
Go ahead, Neil.
Oh, I was going to say, so Nancy, tell us how you guys met. You met at Robert Conrad's house, and was it love at first sight, Nancy?
Well, no, it was like at first sight. And Larry and I became very good friends. We didn't really date in the beginning. I went on double dates with him, and I had a boyfriend. He had girlfriends, and somehow over the years, it just kind of evolved. And the next thing Larry knew is we were married.
Yeah. Cupid shot his arrow.
So,
and then, of course, Larry got Magnum PI, and I was pregnant with our child, and there was an actor's strike, so they postponed the beginning of Magnum, and when they finally settled the strike, and Larry had to leave for Hawaii, it was too late for me to fly. So I was due in about a month, and my doctor said no. So Larry went off. I had our wonderful son, Lorenzo, here in L.A., and 3 weeks later, I got on the plane and flew to Hawaii and got off and handed Larry his son.
Wow, Larry. Tremendous story. So was she's saying she was interested in you in a little bit, but how interested were you and Nancy when you first met her?
Well, I was pretty interested, but I wasn't about to let her know. Yeah, we were, at that time I was doing a television series called Baba Black Sheep, and I was pretty young then. It was the start of my career. And in those days, everybody dated, it wasn't like today. So we were both, in different restaurants and different nightclubs, and we just became real good friends.
Neil, I got to tell you, I think sometimes that's really a great way because you really get to know the person. It's not, a first date, a second date. And we became really good friends, and I think that's why we've been married almost 40 years now.
That's tremendous. So you guys became friends, Larry, before finally dating in certain ways because you were all in like the same circles together, and you're like, hey, this seems like somebody, and we get along and have fun, and that's the key thing to a lasting marriage, isn't Larry? Friendship.
Yeah, well, in any relationship, I believe that you've got to be friends. You got to have a camaraderie with somebody, and then to take that step to be married. Divorce was not even in our vocabulary, and we both were very strict about that. We knew that we'd never be divorced, and we knew that when we did find the right person, that was it. So it paid off. We're still together, and like Nancy said, it's over 40 years, and it'll be another 140 more.
That's fantastic for sure. Now, Larry, tell us the story about getting the gig with Magnum PI. How did that happen?
Well, I was under contract to Universal Studios, and I had already completed a series called Chase, for Universal. And then Robert Conrad wanted me very badly in his new series called Baba Black Sheep. So I did that. And then we were canceled after a couple of years. And I was speculating the idea of doing Simon and Simon for Universal. And I was pretty set on it. And I got a call from Don Bellisario, who was the writer, executive producer of Magnum. And he said, listen, I've got this great role. It's called Rick. And you portray Humphrey Bogart. And you think you're Humphrey Bogart. And you do lines like Humphrey Bogart. And you dress like Humphrey Bogart. And I thought this guy was nuts. But I said, well, it sounds interesting, but I'm thinking about doing another show. Who's starring in this new series? And he said, a new actor named Tom Selleck. Well, ironically, 2 weeks prior to that, I did, what the heck was the name of that thing? I can't remember.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll take it. Anyway, I had worked with Tom on a series as guest stars, and I thought that this guy was the most magnificent looking man on film. And when he said Tom Selleck, I figured, well, with this new guy, I got to take a chance. So that's how it happened. And I was always on a leash when I did a show. I never believed it would last long. I thought that when I went to Hawaii, I would be there for a couple of weeks and back and looking for another gig.
That's interesting. So you didn't know if the show, Larry, would last or not last. Because, again, you knew the business and how the business works, and some shows do well and others, and you just heard this premise of this show, and you said, really, am I going to luck out to get to go to Hawaii to shoot all the time and live in paradise pretty much for a gig? It's too good to be true, right?
Yeah, well, I had done... Rockford Files. Oh, the name of the show I did with Selleck was called The Rockford Files.
Oh, yeah.
With James Garner. But I had done Baba Black Sheep, The Chase, and then I did a short-lived series called The Duke. So, in my mind, these series were not here to stay. So, I thought for sure, I'd be back in a couple of weeks. I didn't think Magnum would last long. I knew it was terrific, but the day I was at the supermarket and saw all the magazine covers and Tom Selleck's picture, I said, oh boy,
yes, this
looks like it's bulletproof.
Yep, him being a heartthrob kept that show getting great ratings then, Larry, right? That all women wanted to see him all the time.
Yeah, well, Selleck was very, very big. I mean, he still is. He's universal.
Absolutely. So, Nancy, what did you think of this whole situation when you were watching this Magnum PI develop and Larry's getting such a huge opportunity with Magnum PI?
I thought it was magnificent. I was just so proud of the show, and I have to tell you, being there, and I lived there off and on with our son. I would get homesick and fly home once in a while, but I got to tell you, the camaraderie between the guys was just magical. They would literally have dinner almost every night together after shooting all day. They played jokes on each other. It was, and I've been in the business since I was a little girl, been on a lot of sets. And I have to say, the Magnum PI set was one of the best ones I've ever seen. It was a happy, happy show.
Definitely seems like that. And Larry, you guys felt like a family, right? How many years was this the show how long did it last?
It was 8.5.
8.5. So really, that's a huge family development and relationships, right, Larry, with the people on the show?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, the guys still talk to each other. In fact, Larry was on the phone with Tom this morning.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, yeah, the beat goes on. It's great.
That's fantastic. So it's and that's what acting does, right, Larry? Especially when you spend a lot of time with the same people every day for so long, that it becomes your family, right? In a lot of ways.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay.
There are shows that I've done that you don't adhere to the cast. You know, there's always some goofball somewhere, but Magnum was created in heaven when they cast Magnum and put all of us together. It was a chemistry that could not be beat, and it paid off to this day. You can see the camaraderie and the chemistry between us all, and we all really, truly not only like each other, but I think, honestly, we really love each other. I talk to Selleck all the time, and have great memories. It's something that'll last till the day they close the lid on the coffin.
And how did that friendship develop, Larry? Because you worked with him once before, but once you started working with him, what made that relationship so well on set and I guess off as well? You and Tom.
Well, he's just a wonderful guy. I mean, like I said, everybody there was very sharing. Nobody was a hog or a pig. We all talked about our roles when we were on the set. If something didn't work, we talked about it. I mean, it was a congenial set, and we abided by what was right. In other words, everybody had their code for what they dressed. I dressed in white collars and cuffs and really spiffy. Selleck dressed in a lot of polo. John Hillerman was very English. And Roger wore overalls and a T-shirt because he was a helicopter pilot. So, I mean, you know, when you do a film, you have a code, and it's called the Bible. And the Bible states where you're from, who your mother and father was, what the city was like, what your upbringing was like. And that's what you base your role on and kind of critique your way through the show. And I was the Chicago guy that lived on a fence of right and wrong. I was not a bad guy. I wasn't a criminal. But I turned my head a little bit if somebody was going to slip a $100 bill in my hand. Where Selleck was the uprighteous guy. We all were in the war in Vietnam. I don't think I wanted to be there, but I was. And I was a machine gunner on Rogers, who was DC's helicopter, and Tom was on it. And, you know, it all worked out. The way they specify a story is not always the way it comes out.
Now, Nancy, what was your favorite part, I guess, episode or different thing that Larry acted in the whole time he was on Magnum PI? Because you could take that role as the wife, seeing his work and stuff like that. What was your favorite part of that whole series?
The one I was in.
No, the one you were in. Okay, tell us a little bit about that. So, and then I want to ask a little bit about Buck Rogers, because I'm a huge Buck Rogers fan. But go ahead, Nancy, and tell us, some specific. Yeah, tell us about that episode.
I guest starred on Magnum on an episode called Computer Date, and I was married to an older man, and I was having an affair with Rick. And Tom was doing an investigation for my husband, hired by him. And Tom finds out, or Magnum finds out, that Rick is having an affair with this guy's wife, who was me. So we had a lot of fun. and I just so enjoyed it. And in fact, it was on the other day. My husband and I watched it. And what's cool is that we'll always have that piece of film together. So that was really a joy.
That's an easy way to not have to really act, right, Nancy? With that whole episode, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had to tell him I didn't love him, so that was a bit of a stretch, but it was a lot of fun.
And it's what's amazing about Magnum PI is those episodes are still on TV all the time, and you get the opportunity, and it's something that will never die. Tom Selleck is just it's absolutely amazing. Now, Nancy, one other question I wanted to jump real quick was Buck Rogers. What would you say was the more reoccurring situation stuff? I'm a huge Buck Rogers fan, by the way, but I wanted to know, if you were looking at your acting resume, especially because of marrying Larry, having children, and basically being there for him in certain ways. When was Buck Rogers? Before Magnum or after?
No, that was before. That was about a year before. Larry and I were not even married then when I did it, and I absolutely adored that. It was a very long shoot. I think it was a 2-hour episode, and it was just so much fun. I just had a ball doing it. The only thing where I had these boots on that came up to my thighs, which was fine, but the heels were so high, my feet ached every night. But it was just a lot of fun. I got to play this woman who was a killer and had my ray gun. It was like playing, like being a cowboy in the future.
Absolutely, and that's such a great opportunity. So now, Larry, you and Nancy got in the radio business in a way with a radio show, and that you had a radio show from 2011 to 2016. Tell us why you guys kind of got together and wanted to do a radio show in that way.
Well, I don't know. The radio show called us and wanted us to do it. And I wasn't nuts about it at first, because I had been asked many times to do radio shows. But I said, if we do it, I want to interview actors and baseball players, football players.
Right, yeah.
And do it my own way. And if you play music on our show, you got to play the kind of music I like. I don't want any of that goofy stuff you can't understand. So, I mean, basically that's how it happened. And the radio show became a great success.
Interesting. And how did you guys work together, Nancy, when you were doing it before? Now bringing it back, we're going to talk about how it's a little different this time than the first time. But Nancy, how did you guys work together? My wife and I, here's a little story. The way I started out in radio is at a college radio station 7 years ago. And we did a pilot, and it was a local out in Pittsburgh. And basically, my wife and I had to do it together. The pilot episode. She stopped doing the radio show thing very quickly because she's a school teacher. But we started out together in that way. And I always remember, because she's very talented, yet busy with our 5 kids and teaching to ever be back in radio again. But Nancy, how did it feel working with Larry like that, in that opportunity to go back and forth and play off each other on the show?
Oh, it's fine. We've been together many, many years, and we were always known for hosting big parties in our house, and everybody wanted to go to the Manettis. Larry taught me how to cook, and we loved to cook, and we would cook for all of our friends and have a great time. And everybody used to always tell us, "You guys should work together. You two are so funny together. You get along so great." So the radio show was really terrific. And the other thing I want to bring up, Neil, is that Larry wrote a wonderful book called Aloha Magnum. And it's available at larry-manetti.com. And it's a compilation of all the shenanigans that went on on the Magnum set and behind the scenes. And it's a fabulous book because, like I said, we're books and we have recipes in there.
Awesome.
And Larry went through and did a big episode guide and made comments about each episode and the guest stars.
Oh, that's great.
A little riff on each one. So, Aloha Magnum is really a great book.
So, yeah, Larry, so that's a must for a Magnum PI fan to purchase your book, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I give your listeners a tip, don't go on Amazon because right now they've got some used books on there, and they're very, very expensive. So the only place you can get them now is larry-manetti.com.
Excellent. Now, Larry, was that a blast writing that book and reminiscing on each one of the episodes?
Can you repeat that?
No, I said, was that a blast writing that book and reminiscing about all your experiences on Magnum PI?
It was fun. I mean,
yeah.
When you reminisce, you think it was a labor of love, I tell you. It took quite a long time to do it because, you think about things in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. You think about things where you're in the bathroom. So
exactly.
I had a fellow here that was taking notes, and I had to really squeeze this stuff out of my brain. But once it starts coming out, it flows.
That's great. And that's definitely a must for sure. Now, Nancy, how's the show going to be different than the show that everyone did enjoy for so many for the years that you did it, where you're having guests and different things? The show's going to be a little bit different this time, right, Nancy? The one that's about to debut.
Yes. It will be a little bit different. We're not necessarily going to interview someone every week, although we will be interviewing people sporadically. I give a recipe out every week because, like I said, I love to cook. And Larry's going to be telling some of his wonderful stories. You know, Larry is very blessed to be friendly with a lot of iconic people, such as Ernest Borgnine, Robert Conrad, R.J. Wagner, Mike Connors, who was Mannix, and on and on. So he has some fabulous stories to tell. So he kind of gives out one of his wonderful stories every week. We have people that call in, and the time, I must say, goes very quickly.
And is that fun, Larry, interviewing your friends? That's an easy thing, right? When they come on and you know them very well and stuff like that. It's pretty simple, right?
I can't hear you.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, Larry. No, I was saying, was it fun? It's fun interviewing your friends, right? That you've come across from and things like that, and they come on the show. It's really easy to have a good conversation and get information that some other people might not know about that guest, right?
Yeah, well, being an actor, I know the right buttons to push.
Okay, yeah.
No actor nobody likes, if you're in the public eye, you don't like personal questions because it isn't right. But I know the questions they ask, and these are fun. Look, our show's a fun show. We don't get involved in politics. I don't look at people and say you're this or you're that. So I don't want any cards and letters. It's a fun show. We ask questions like Frank Sinatra is a good friend. Elvis Presley is in the book. I mean, there's many, many people that I work with over the years that I've interviewed, and you got to tread lightly. It's I've never had anybody hang up or say anything, and I ask questions of them, which I would like to be asked myself.
That's fantastic for sure. So, Nancy, where's the best place? When is the new show debuting and where people can find it? Especially, I know you're going to have the archives after the show airs as well, but where's the best place people can go to find out about your show?
Well, we go live on Tuesdays, every Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific time, and then they rerun on the weekends.